Welcome to the Fence and Deck Mastery Podcast, where we discuss cutting-edge techniques, industry trends, and business insights to take your fence or deck company to the next level and dominate your competition. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Fence and Deck Mastery Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Danner, and also the founder of Fence and Deck Marketers, which is a marketing agency that works exclusively with fencing and decking businesses. But today I have another great show that I've been excited about. I have Greg Cummings from Power100, and Greg is the founder and CEO of Power100, and he also has a extensive background that I'll let him tell because I would just butcher it, and he's going to do a lot better job of it. But very interesting guy, and really excited to kind of unpack that and share his wealth of knowledge with everybody that listens to this. So, Greg, appreciate you coming on the podcast. How's it going, man?
Couldn't be better, brother. As I say, surrounded by great people and opportunity and a whole bunch of stuff to do. So I appreciate being here and appreciate what you're doing. Looking forward
Yeah.
to the conversation.
Yeah, me too. And I appreciate hearing little tidbits like that. You know, it's refreshing to hear some positive things and not just, just another day. It's nice to hear some good energy, especially, in the morning, getting the day started. But basically, as I was saying in the beginning, Greg's going to share all kinds of useful things. When I spoke with him, I don't know, a few weeks ago, when he reached out, we just kind of talked and had a lot of similar notes and things that I think would kind of complement each other with, at the end of the day, just sharing some really, useful knowledge with everybody that listens. So we're going to talk about what the highest level CEOs in the home improvement industry are doing. So he's interviewed a ton of them. I think over 1,000. So he has very good idea of like what it takes to be that very high level CEO and what separates them, what they're doing. So we're going to talk about that and unpack that, but then also talk about AI. That's something that's related to Power 100 that I'll let Greg explain. But of course, everybody's talking about AI now, and something we've had to make big changes within our agency. So we're going to talk about how that all works and some ways that Greg's helping home service contractors to rank better on AI, and really just a whole bunch of other things. So to kind of get started, Greg, if you could just introduce yourself, your story, history, maybe in the home improvement industry, and kind of things leading up to Power 100.
It's a long story. I'll try to tie it up real quick. I was traveling the world, working with a company that created and helped companies, large and small, go to market with different products, help them understand how they made money, help them understand how people perceive them, and ultimately tailor a message to their audience in order to better attract and retain clients and employees. And I had my first kid and wanted to be home a little bit more. So instead of just getting a normal job, I decided to buy a window and door company, partner in with it with a buddy of mine in Tampa. Now I slept in my own bed at night, but I was up and gone by 6 a.m. and back by 8, so I didn't really, the whole time thing didn't really align with the plan, but it all worked out as many things do in life. So we grew that company from, a very humble, I'd say about 144,000 of replacement business. It was when we bought it, it was doing about, I don't know, 800,000, but a lot of repairs and things like that went into that. So we rebranded the business, took it to a whole home replacement, and we grew it to 10 million in 3 years. At
Nice.
that point is when I separated from the company. I exited the company there. We had a difference of strategy past 10 million. So wanted to really connect with what I was doing and what I was building along the way. And ultimately, I built this massive case study on how great companies are led and what separates great companies from the competition. And ultimately, what I saw was there was no third party, unbiased platform that ranked the companies in the home improvement space. And I thought this was insane considering how much money people were spending. And they didn't have a place to go that was a truly unbiased platform. So we created one. It started off as just a window list in Florida. Then it grew to a exterior list, now it's become a home improvement list, home service list, and an outdoor living list. And so now we have the top 100 companies in each one of those categories on a completely unbiased third-party platform. based on a 5-layer proprietary ranking system. And the system's got multiple internal dynamic algorithms as well as two separate points of human interaction. We always want to make sure we're combining the best of AI, the best of machine learning, and the best of human intelligence because we believe that it requires a nice balance in order to put out an accurate and updated product. So here we are, fast forward 5.5 years. We historically, like I said, started in that home improvement, exterior remodeling space. And now we're bleeding into the rest of the home services and outdoor living here in July. So we're very excited about that. We interview CEOs all across the country. We have a platform called the Inner Circle. You can, if you you can check that out. You can see all of our shows as well as a lot of other shows in the Inner Circle. Think about it as a filtered down search. Okay, it's the Netflix for the home improvement industry. So that's who we are. That's where we are right now. It's been a wild ride, and I'll let you take it away from here.
All right. Yeah. I would love to kind of unpack that, how you come up with those rankings, because I know it's unbiased, which is good because nobody's going to believe it if it wasn't. Everyone would have their doubts, so that's good. But I was looking through the top 100, like, can you tell us at all about what, factors really come into that to see, like, you said a proprietary algorithm, like what factors are involved
Yeah,
to
I
get
got you.
somebody at the
So
top?
there's a couple core pillars. So the first is growth. Now, growth is twofold. Growth is physical growth with revenue and profitability, but it is also growth with employees. People often think growth is just a top line number. It's not on our system. We want to see systems and processes in place for employees to grow, as well as the company to grow. Then secondary is not secondary. The second pillar, I should say, is company culture. Company culture is so important in today's world, and we have a number of ways that we gauge company culture. Then the third pillar is going to be community involvement. We really believe that what we see across the board, all of our data, all of our analytics, that the best companies have a community arm one way or another.
Gotcha. Okay. So how do you verify all that stuff that people are doing? How are you making sure they're actually doing what they're saying they're doing?
That's a good question. So we take a look at it from a number of different perspectives. And so we use what's called triangular algorithms. So if I ping you at, Bass Pro Shop, and then I also ping you out on the lake, I can probably sell you a fishing pole, right? So in today's world, there's a lot of socially acceptable, social shareable things. So if a company says they're working with a charity, and then the charity is also posting about it, I can then make a clear assumption that they are actively working with that charity and that community involvement. Then when you take a look at how the employees are reacting to it, then that adds in a whole nother layer and a whole nother factor. But what we do basically is we take a look at all of these assumptions, which a lot of top line are, and then we go through a verification process. And the more that we can verify, the higher the ranking is.
Gotcha. Okay. So the more it kind of pays, I mean, that kind of plays into, what we're going to talk about later with the AI and being more
Very
visible.
much.
So it pays to basically not only do those things, but you got to have it online and prove it, just like AI wants to see basically.
Yeah, or have the beneficiary be sharing it as well. So we connect with that.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, anybody that's curious, I would definitely recommend checking out the Power 100 site, and you can kind of see the contractors on there. Because I was looking through that as well. But what you said you've interviewed over 1,000, is that right?
Yeah, it's a
Uh,
little higher than that now, but you can call it that.
okay. Um, is that all like online, interviews, and you ever do it in
Combination,
person?
brother. We are
Okay.
on site. We deliver keynote speeches. We go to companies. We speak to companies. We do what's called executive interviews as well. So we interview CEOs on site with a feature piece, and then we also go and interview their executive team. And again, this is a part of the evaluation verification process. We want to make sure that the headline message is clear throughout the company. And then from there. We go to events and shows and we interview a lot of people at events and shows. So when we're at an event, we'll interview, several obviously folks at a time. So a lot of good stuff. We also host panels, but yeah, it's a combination in person, remote on my show, or on site.
Gotcha. Okay. So are you like reaching out to people to see if they want to be interviewed for this, or do people come to you, or both
Yeah, it's a
maybe?
combination. When
Yeah.
we see people doing great things, our mission is to make sure the best stories are seen, make sure the best stories are told authentically. We don't make anybody look great. We can't take a good company and make them look great. The only thing that we can do is make a great company and a great leader seen and heard authentically. A lot of times, the best leaders and the best companies are the ones that are not going to be the one to pound their chest and not going to stand up and be like, yeah, we're awesome. Look at everything that we do.
Yeah.
But yet
100%.
we're still able to find those companies and we're able to tell their story authentically from a third party perspective. Because our underlining mission at Power 100 is to help every homeowner find the best contractor for them. And so that's the baseline of the whole, everything that we do. So we constantly are looking at it. Our ranking system is designed around customer liability. So when you take a look at it and say, all right, how much of liability is there here if I hire this person, and we want that to be almost zero. And the reason for that is because practically $1 trillion industry between home improvement, home services, and outdoor living, and half of it is rework. Let's think about that. That's a $500 billion swing in the American economy. So when you talk about really being able to have an impact, if every homeowner went to our site and found the contractor from our site, I think we would be in a significantly better place, and so would they. And so we want to make sure that we are always looking at it from a homeowner's view. And then we rank some strategic partners as well, because we can't just help every homeowner. We have to help the contractor, right? And the only way we can help the contractor is by doing all their due diligence, just like I wish I had somebody doing it when I was running my company.
Right. Right. Okay. So I would definitely want to unpack what you've seen with those CEOs that you're typically finding, because you've interviewed over 100. What would you say are the biggest things, the biggest commonalities that you see among the best ones that typically are at the top, or I guess score the best with your ranking system? Like, is there anything that really sticks out?
Yeah, the biggest thing that has really come to, I would say, the top is the company's purpose and the company culture around that purpose. So it's less about the products and services that they offer, and it's more about what else the company is able to do for the community. And it's not necessarily pizza days on Friday, all those sometimes those are nice. It's more about the bigger mission. We're seeing a massive shift, Alex, in the potential employee pool, the buyer pool, right? And so as the buyers and the employees shift what's important to them, the companies that are adapting to this are excelling very quickly. So if I'm a homeowner and I'm spending my money, they want to know where that money is going. Is a part of it going back into the community in an authentic way? Or are they just buying another Ferrari, right? And so the companies that are investing into the communities, investing into their people, and investing into their technology for the future, those are the ones that are winning now and being in position to really win big, really, really win big on that front. So I would say the number one thing, just in summary, would be having a why behind the company, having a mission, and making sure that your employees know and understand that it's not enough in today's world just to be great at the products and services that we sell and offer.
Yeah. Do you have any examples? I mean, ones that like missions that really blew you away, or just common ones that are really good? I'd love to kind of see some, because I'll be honest with home service, especially, fencing and decking. I've seen a few, of course, the ones that do have missions tend to be the bigger ones. So that lines up pretty well.
Mhm.
But, it's few and far between for sure. So everybody that's listening to this, I mean, I think every single person would get a lot of value from that to like kind of unpack a little
Yeah.
bit more and what you've seen work really well, you know.
I'll say this. I've been in the shoes of the smaller contractor, right? And we didn't have a charity arm when we were growing our business. And, it was something I always wanted. I was like, we just need to do this. It's something that just innately in me that I wanted to have as a part of our company. I wanted to be more a part of the community, less of a business. And it never aligned because we didn't have enough time. Okay. And so now, fast forward, however many years this is to today's world, your community involvement actually has an ROI. Whereas before, it was just something to do that was good. Maybe you wanted to do like me. I wanted to just do it because I felt like it was the right thing to do, to help guide and help mentor. I wanted to help guide and mentor kids out of from sport. Just anyways, doesn't matter. That's a whole nother topic. Um, but what these companies are doing is they are actually having their charity arm, their giving arm, not just impact the community, but helping the community find them in an authentic way, in a more of a trusting way. So it's not. I just want to make it reiterate this point, and we just were delivering a keynote at the Dave Yoho conference last week, and this question came up is like, I don't want to tell people. Some people are doing community work and they're not telling people. Some people want to do community work, but they just don't have the time or the money or the effort. Like they're in a spot, they got too much to do. And either way, what I will say is double down on it. Get involved. Find something that is truly important to you. If you don't have something that's important to you in your community, you need to really dig back into yourself and say, what's the purpose of all this? Right? There should be something that moves you or moves something that's close to you, your wife, your kids, whatever it is. Get involved. Otherwise, if you don't have something else that is moving you, then you're going to struggle on whatever level a company is. If it's 1 million or a billion, you're going to struggle with purpose. And if you struggle with purpose, a lot of negative things can happen from a mindset, okay? And so when you factor in what your business is doing and how your business is helping your homeowners, how it's helping your communities, right? And how it's helping your employees, it's a significantly greater reward. Um, and those are the companies that I'm talking to. If money is the only thing that's important to you, then then go get it and good luck. But usually at this point, you've realized that money is a 1B to a 1A, where money is not necessarily determining how successful you are, because you start to realize that everybody around here has money. So what makes you, I will say, wealthier? And we talk about the battle of the eyes. The battle of the eyes is your identity is the top eye. The bottom on one side is income. The bottom on the other side is influence. So what do you want? Do you want influence or do you want money? Now, usually money will follow influence if you do it the right way and you use it with extreme purpose. So, my suggestion to the companies out there is, instead of start trying to figure out how to go get more leads, understand your company and your personal identity, figure out what's important to you, develop a communal arm around that, and go all in. And make sure you talk about it. And make sure you're writing articles and you're partnering with third parties that are supporting you. Make sure that the beneficiaries are documenting it on their sites. Because in today's world, the lead pool over here that you fished in for the last 10 years is going to do an 80-20 split, the opposite direction. In 24 months, okay, we are predicting that 80% of your leads are going to come from AI findability, AI affirmation, AI search, not the internet, not SEO, not Google. Okay. So if AI doesn't trust you, then you're not going to be presented. In order to be trusted by AI, you have to be on third-party verified sites. You have to do community service. You have to have great company culture, great employee feedback. You have to do outstanding work for your clients. It has to be there. So unless you are investing right now into being what in the past this was called maybe bragging, right? But now it's called a transparent company. If you are not a transparent company, it's going to be hard to recruit A players. It's going to be hard to have AI find you. It's going to be harder to develop your reputation. And again, this is where AI is fantastic because AI is going to find gaps in businesses that are not authentically great. If you are not authentically great, AI is going to expose you. If you are authentically great and you have been doing things the right way and you are documenting stuff and you're doing all the right things, then AI is going to reward you handsomely. We're getting ready to do a virtual seminar on this at the end of the summer because it is one of the most underserved, under talked about, biggest areas of opportunity in today's industry right now is this AI findability. Okay. Um, any questions there? I'll pause there for you.
No, you're good. And I had a couple. I made a couple mental notes with what you're saying there. I want to kind of reiterate. When you're talking about the purpose, I like that a lot. It was something that I was told a few years back that like didn't really make much sense to me, but I think that resonates especially with a lot of the contractors we talk about because you know you can. It depends on what you want monetarily, I guess. Like if you don't care a whole lot about growing the business, you just need a little bit to keep, be able to pay for things, your family, whatever. Um, that might seem great and all, and there's nothing wrong with it. But what I've seen is if you want to have a company, a strong culture, and you want to keep those good people around, they're going to get they're going to leave if you're just part of this stagnant company that's not really doing anything. Like the best people are going to want to be part of a company that has a mission, that has a purpose. And like Greg's saying, having a bigger purpose, helping the community, things like that helps resonate a lot with team members too. But also, wanting to grow the company, people want to have their own dreams fulfilled and they want to have a really good job and work for a company that they can make more money, learn more skills, progress in, feel valued, things like that. So I guess I would just challenge anybody that's listening because I know it's a common thing and something I didn't really think about, a few years back. But if you're ever thinking you can kind of make a good amount of money and then just not do a whole lot after or kind of check out a little bit, like you'll start to notice problems are going to happen. So that's what Greg is kind of saying. And, I'm, adding to it, I guess, is think of that purpose that you could have that resonates with you. Maybe it's, I would say probably a common one would be like getting more people involved in the trades, and instead of going to college or that, people are kind of debunking that, that all the time right now. They're like, you have to go to college and, every one of our clients is a contractor and doing well. So I've seen people kind of gravitate towards that. So maybe that's a good potential one too. But if you think hard enough about it and, really think about that closely, it's going to help the company move forward. It'll also help attract the right people too, help get those people that also resonate with that mission, that are bought into that, and weed out the people that aren't. So that's something I've noticed as
And
well in my company.
there's something else, Alex, is you can ask your leadership team. You can ask the people closest to you, hey guys, is there anything important to you? And so I have one of our clients, their whole company mission was revolved around an employee that had an interest in something. That interest became the company's interest. The company got behind the individual because he was there forever and everybody loved him. And now this was something that they could help. And he actually ended up passing away because of this issue. And it was a whole thing. And now the individual is living on for basically ever through the company's organization that was founded because of him. And so when you start to really look into what are you providing your employees is allow them to be proud of what they do. If they're proud of what they do, they're going to own it, right? If they're proud of it, then they're going to act differently. Um, so that's one thing I would say is if you're struggling with something like what to do, and I know how busy you are. I know you don't have any more time, but I promise you, if you find something you want to do, you'll make time to do it.
Yep.
Especially when you see value in it on the other side. And so But that will be something we'll talk in depth about how people are doing this on all different levels, from, a $10 million business to a, $300 million business, on what they're doing, how they started, and what they would do differently, as well as, making sure AI trusts you. AI is going to trust your business a lot more if you're doing good, right? Because ultimately AI's job is to make sure that the user, the consumer, whoever is using that, is getting the best result for them. And I had a conversation, to give you an idea, with a couple sales guys. They are not motivated by money like sales guys were, years ago. They're now more motivated by a lot of alternate things. And a lot of these social topics are very important to them. They want to know that they're a part of a company that's doing good in the world and improving the world, improving the communities, not just a well-run business that makes a bunch of money. And guess
Yeah.
what? As the employees are changing in that mindset, so are your buyers. So if you want to close at a higher rate, get better leads, get more referrals, you want to start talking about it in an exponential ROI. Have some purpose and be authentic on who you are. And if you're just the business guy that only knows your trade, then find out what's important to your people and go all in for your people. You're going to get a better buy-in there, better recruitment, more passion out of your folks. So if you think you have a company culture problem, if you think that if we were to ask every one of your employees right now, is this the best company in the world to work for? What would they say?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That'd be a scary one, huh?
But it shouldn't be, because they're spending their time, they're choosing to spend the majority of their life in
Yeah.
this situation. So if somebody's choosing to spend the majority of their life in this situation, then it better be the best situation for them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's literally what I was going to say. It's 1/3 of their lives at a minimum. It's like probably more than that if we're being serious and the company's got stuff. So, you know, got to take care of them. You got to do, just like you said, Greg, ask them what they want. I always do this in the beginning on the hiring process. That helps a lot to be like, what do you want? Sometimes they don't really know, but um, sometimes they do. If you want to be clear on how you can find a good match, make sure that they're what they want aligns with what you can provide, I guess. And I just want to mention one example here because we're talking about we're talking about the purposes. We have a client, friend of mine as well, Steve Kirk from Premier Deck. Just remember, he does that a lot with like hiring high school grads or I think college grads too. And he's just trying to get them involved and he wants to have a good company that can help build these younger guys up and you'll get them involved in a skill that's very, very valuable, something that's not going to be replaced by AI in terms of actually building the deck, or the fence. So something like that could be an option. But you know, think about it yourself. Don't just let somebody else kind of think of your purpose either. But uh, okay, so we talked about the purpose. That was a big piece there. Is there anything you noticed with like how they are? I guess this could tie into a little bit, but is there anything you've seen these higher level CEOs and how they handle their teams? How they are with the people that work with them. You noticed any kind of demeanor that they typically have? Or are they different types of personalities? Are
No,
they normally
no,
the
they're all
same?
they're all different types.
Okay.
But I will say the common trait is they're all super authentic. There's nothing fake about them. They genuinely care about every portion and every corner of their business. And they're involved. And when I say involved, I don't mean they're necessarily there and present every second of every day, but when they are there, they are 100% there. I say it. We did a big case study. We wrote a paper on it. And one of the main commonalities of this case study, it was a 2-year case study, was the ability to maintain their schedule. Okay, so this was the number one factor of trust, was the ability to maintain their schedule. And so I will say it very simply this: when you have a meeting on your calendar, do you honor it? Are you there? And so it's not just that you get on. Somebody could get on a meeting on time, and I could have a meeting with you, Alex, right? And I'm on my phone texting because there's fires going on. And I'm trying to do 3 things. Uh-huh. Yep. Do your meetings go like that? Uh-huh. Yep. What else? Uh-huh. Yep. Or are you prepared for the meeting ahead of time as if it was an interview for your life? Like, how prepared and into it are you? If you are not preparing for every meeting, if you are not stepping on calls and know what to expect, know where to go with it, and take it purposefully, then you are missing the boat. You are missing trust. So every time you get on with somebody, if you have a meeting with them, they're very, very, very important to your organization. You need to take that with extreme like intensity, seriousness, passion, whatever you want to call it, because you are building trust with everything that you do. And if you aren't giving somebody 100% when you're with them, they're not going to give it back when you're not there. Alternately, if you have to cancel or reschedule, are you offering a time within 24 hours of your scheduled meeting, or are you just kicking it to the next meeting? Hey, you know what? Let's skip this week. If you skip this week, they skip this week.
Hmm.
And if you do it enough, they're going to think you don't give a shit about what they're doing.
Yep.
So, honoring your schedule was the number one thing in today's world because companies are they're growing, they're getting wider. We have a lot more capability with being able to connect, obviously, right? So now a lot of these meetings are virtual. A lot of people are tuning in virtually. And everyone's like, well, they don't really work virtually. That's because you don't really work virtually. That's because you're not taking it serious. You're not preparing. You don't have expectations. You didn't send an agenda ahead of time. How many times are you sending agendas? Well, I'm busy. I don't have time. Well, then make the time to do things right or don't do them at all. Because when you do fragmented work, your employees see fragmented work. They're not going to play championship style ball. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it makes total sense. And it's a good point. I mean, kind of what came to my mind was like, think about how big of a bottleneck so many business owners are. So if you're late to things or you're not committed to it, that means you have all these team members that are waiting on you for all these things and probably getting pretty worn out. If you're going to the meetings late, you're not prepared or you're not like fully focused on it, I guess. So I know that would wear me out if I was constantly waiting on somebody that just wasn't all in even focused on the issue at hand when we're talking. So yeah, it makes total sense to me. And that's yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that would be one of the main things you said. So that's a really good point. Is there anything else that you typically notice that from those truly elite CEOs that they're doing?
I'd say their team, with their whoever your liaison, your project manager, one of the biggest differences from the top companies is these project managers are mutually motivated with KPIs on both sides. So also they are driven sales driven KPIs as well as project driven KPIs on timelines and things like that. They are not just a installation bro. They are tied. They are the liaison and they are there to serve the customer and to make sure that referrals happen, to make sure the experiences are fantastic. And it's a big shift from a small company to a successful company. And what I mean by that is typically your project managers that go out and get the measurements or whatever the case may be with whatever you're doing as far as your trade, you typically have this like guard from sale to in between installation. That's the most critical player in your company. And it's the most underserved company. It's the most underserved player across all small companies. The large companies that have their stuff together, that understand it, they put a lot of time, energy, and influence into those guys to make sure that they're handling the customer experience, but also they're handling the employee experience. And what I mean by that is when you make a sale, you drop those papers down on the desk, you want to be celebrated a little bit. But on the flip side, when the installation crews come in, they want to be supported with little details. So how is your project manager acting as like your quarterback of the team? How are they making sure that everybody's playing the right way for a common goal, and that's to win? There's offense, but there's also defense, right? And so we have to make sure that everybody's playing together, nobody's pointing fingers, and that's the job and the role of the project manager is to balance the project side, the sales side, and the customer experience. And so that level of influence and coaching and autonomy and trust in that project manager is another massive separation from companies that are just growing, you know, versus people that are struggling at flat and they're just that would be a successful year, right? So big difference.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay, so I want to switch gears a little bit, make sure we have enough time to talk about AI because that was a big piece of it. So maybe tell us about, I don't know, how Power 100 plays into AI, or I guess anything related to that. Maybe it's not just Power 100, but anything that you found in terms of like the importance of being on sites like that, or anything you'd like to
Yeah,
speak to that,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
basically.
So I think that, in line, a lot of the underlining themes is trust, right? And intention of what we look at, what we see as success. And in line with that, people are bringing AI into their business at a rate that we've never seen. It's like, hey, give me one of those, give me one of those. Let's try this out. And they just, let their team go and try to figure it out. They don't have accountability. There's nobody kind of spearheading it. There's no plan for success on most of these tech stacks out there right now, or at least not as much as it was before, right? And so these fractured tech stacks are leading to breaking trust and going down that line that we talked about before. And so this has been going on for a couple of years where everyone's trying to bring in this new technology into their business with just because, right? And so the companies that have figured out AI and figured out their tech stack are doing really well. The companies that haven't figured it out are struggling, not just from a tech stack process perspective, but from a company culture perspective, because their employees see firsthand that they're just throwing stuff in here and they're not using it, they're not following up on it, it's not improving their business. So now every new piece of technology or advice or meeting that they get, they're not quite all in. And so that these companies are having to rebuild this trust. Now, on the flip side, what I think you were talking about is AI outside your business. We've seen this massive rush, and this has dominated conversations about how AI can improve your business. But what we aren't talking about enough is how people are going to find your business on AI. This is going to be that 80-20 shift in the next 24 months that we were talking about earlier. And if you're not doing all the right things, you will be left behind. We have coined the phrase affirmation search. The affirmation search, I just wrote an article on it. I can share that with you after that you can, or I'll attach it to this when you post it. The affirmation search happens when the customer knows your name. At any point, it could be a referral. They're going to go in and they're going to go, Fence and Deck, are they a good company? My neighbor used them. Should I use them? Enter. It's going to say yes or no. People are believing this at a high frequency, guys. They will do whatever AI tells them at this point because it helped them bake cupcakes last week and they turned out great. Helped them pick a
Mhm.
restaurant yesterday. It was awesome. It told them what to wear to the concert, because it was going to rain. Like AI is building trust with the consumer so fast that it is going to be, I mean, I say 24 months, but I think it's going to be a lot sooner where people are literally going to get on and say, hey, my neighbor used Fence and Deck. Should I? And it's going to go, yes, here's 10 reasons why. Here's a couple reasons what you might want to do. If this is you, this is yes or no. Yes. Okay. Do you want me to set an appointment with them? Yes. Perfect. Done. That's going to be happening very, very soon. It is already happening, but I'm talking about on a commercial level, like for the majority because AI is being trusted so much by the users that's what's happening here. So what we do, and we just fell into it, man. We got so lucky. I didn't know AI was going to take over the world when we started Power 100 years ago. And, we just built what we wanted when we were building our business, both from a contractor's perspective, but also from a consumer's perspective, right? And so we just built this unbiased platform. We just been doing all the work and laying the foundation and talking to the right people, sharing the right commonalities, and providing good quality content for people to get better and to find the right contractors. And now all of a sudden AI goes, hey, Power 100 is one of the best sources out there when it comes to truth in home improvement. And so we just got super lucky that we were doing what we were doing before, and now AI recognizes us. And so, unfortunately, I can't help everybody with their AI findability because, that would kind of defeat the purpose of our top 100 rankings.
Yeah.
So, if for the people that are on the top 100, we can write articles on them, we can do interviews on them. As we evaluate these companies, we publish our results. And so now what we're seeing is if you were to search, is Lifetime Home Improvement a good company to hire? You'll see a bunch of Power 100 citations because, well, we have evaluated them and it is truth. And we're not here to gas people up. We're only here to make great companies authentically seen and heard. Whereas otherwise, if we weren't there, they might not be the first ones to talk about how good they are because they're worried and more focused about getting stuff done the right way by way of their customers and their employees and their communities than they are about telling anybody about it. They would rather just be the one that gets it done. And so in today's world, our mission is if we don't help these companies that are doing great be found, then we're going to lose these companies to private equity. We're going to lose these companies to big box. It's going to be the same thing as SEO eventually. He who has the most money and spends the most money gets the most leads and most attention. It is irrelevant on how good of work you do. It's irrelevant on the community. It's irrelevant of all those things if you don't get your space on AI, if you don't own your affirmation search. Again, more on the affirmation search. We can go, there's a whole article on it. It goes very deep into it. And then again, this is going to be a main topic on our end of summer 2-day webinar that's going to be that we will have. So we'll stay connected, Alex, and get you and your group looped into that as well.
Yeah, sounds good. And yeah, kind of what I've seen as AI has progressed, you know, it's always been, with SEO, it's been about to basically fact check companies
Yeah.
has always been about reviews. And it does a better job than I guess not having it to figure out who's good and who's not. But it's not a perfect system. There's people that can leave fake reviews or,
Oh yeah.
you can also get people, fake reviews that are good and bad. But, that was like a way to, and is currently a way that people kind of verify you. So reviews are important. But now what Greg is saying with AI, it's more involved than that. It's not just about your Google reviews or Facebook reviews. Like AI will actually go into all these different sites and find all these third-party platforms to see what people are saying about you there. And you can see this when you go to ChatGPT or, AI platforms and say, find me the best fence or deck builders in my area. And if you don't show up or you don't show up at the number one spot, you ask it why, it's going to tell you reasons why you're not showing up there. And a lot of times it is because you don't have that third party reach that really, talks about your business in a positive way. Or there's that third party company that, maybe it's a Better Business Bureau that's kind of has some kind of complaint against you. Or I've seen it with, I think it's Glassdoor, which is like the company review thing. They talk about the business and how they treat their employees. Also, this is kind of a separate note, but something really important. If you're one of those companies that just does everything and anything, that hurts you in AI big time because they're going to heavily go towards the ones that are very specific to that problem. Because, and this is something I've been preaching forever, and I've, even before AI came out, because it just makes sense too logically. But if somebody's like, hey, I want to build this $100,000 deck or 50,000, or you're that type of customer that wants quality and not just looking to haggle with the price. Those types of people want to go to the best, the specialists. So if you have a business that's not like very tailored to fencing or decking or whatever, whatever the home improvement is, that's going to hurt you in AI. It's going to hurt you in the sales process. It's going to hurt you across the board. So that I find that to be very, very interesting going forward is like, the people that are targeting everything, this is purely from a online like search perspective. I know people will, do a million services and make hundreds of millions of dollars. And they got all these ways with TV and all these other things. But just talking about AI and SEO, it's completely different because they're all going heavily towards that person, that company that is exactly solving the problem as close as possible. So I if as an example with our clients, we constantly rename businesses. We're adding DBA names. They're not ABC Construction, they're ABC Deck Builders or Deck and Outdoor Living, something like that. So when it comes to AI and you're saying, hey, find me a list of the best roofers, the deck builders, whatever, and that's only one of your services, and you do siding or windows and all these other things, like don't be surprised if you're not ranking that well because of that. So kind of a side note there, but something that's really, really important going forward and
We,
kind of
we
how
do
it
the
pays
same
to
thing,
play.
Alex. We
Yeah.
we do the exact same thing on the AI side for our clients, and we dial it down. We're not making the DBAs or anything like that, but we are being very distinct on what we're talking about in that particular article. So we call them hot takes, like whatever you're really interested in pushing, whatever you're really interested in doing, it has to be laser focused. If the number one thing I would say, if you're struggling right now, I would say trim down the fat, trim down whatever you're spending the most time on, and trim down whatever you're spending, and that's going to be the big things that you're doing, that's over your capacity, and it's also going to be the little things this like that are killing you. You want to find your sweet spot and stay in it and go fast and go deep until you build up enough revenue, until you build up a good team in order to, branch out. And then you have to make a decision. Do you add on products and services, or do you expand geographically? And
Yeah.
I think that's a case by case. It also has to do with the leader, their personality, and what they're hoping to accomplish. So,
Yeah.
no, I think that's a great point that you make.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense, like when about 10 years ago when I first started the agency, I was working with anybody and everybody because that just makes sense to the human mind. And things were just, stagnant. It was nowhere close to what we're doing now. And, I just kind of trusted somebody else and went all in. And that's ever since I did that, I always tell that story to try and get contractors to do the same. Like you said, there's companies out there that do extremely well and they do everything. I mean, those are usually the
Yeah.
biggest companies. Remains to be seen on profit because I do see a lot of problems with that where it's just like high line revenue, but they're not making a whole lot of profit. But that's kind of another another side note or another thing there. But um, anything else you would say, like I guess results, anything you could talk to, like the platform and how it's impacted once they've been added to it, and how maybe you've shown up differently on ChatGPT or anything like that.
Say it again. What was the middle part of that question?
So, is there anything you could say about when somebody works with Power 100 and gets on the website, like how it's affected, you know, anything you've noticed, I guess, in terms of improving visibility or anything like that? Maybe I don't know, case studies or just examples, anything like that.
Um, I don't understand the question. Say it again.
So, okay. So, when you go on Power 100, you have this visibility. Say you're the number one guy on there, the number one CEO. Has he seen or anybody else kind of seen, like, once you're showing up on important websites, sites with a lot of power behind them, like Power 100, anything that's they've been able to leverage, I guess, towards better rankings or better exposure to get more
Yeah.
leads, anything like that?
Yeah. I mean, it's everything, okay? And right now, if you don't own your name of your business, and this is what we just completed a group business audit. We just had about 50 companies, and we ran them through this like audit at an event, okay? And we printed, I don't know, let's see if I got one here. See if it's used. Yeah, I got one. Okay, so we ran through like this business audit. I don't know how well you can see this. I can share this with your group later privately if you'd like. Um, and we said, okay, at the very end of it, it's based off culture, community, growth, and innovation. And it is centered around exactly what you just asked. Like, how impactful is this? Where is this? What can I do to improve it? Right. But the bottom line is your AI search. You need to go on and you need to say who is the best company in my service area, right, for your product or services and why. and open it in an incognito window. That's what you have to remember that, okay? Because your AI knows you. So it knows that you own this business. So give it a chance and give you a chance and open it in an incognito window to actually do the research the right way, okay? And then ask it that. Then I want you to save that information. Then I want you to go into another one, maybe one you've never gone into before. Maybe go into Claude, go into any other one that you have that you're not using, and do this 5 or 6 times. And then go back in and ask it again. Ask all of them again. Try to get 4 or 5 platforms and leave a little bit of space, new searches, ask the same question 4 or 5 times. Take some time to do this. This is the future of your business. I'm talking about putting an hour aside to do an audit on your business, to find out where your gaps are, find out why AI likes you, expand on that exponentially because you already have a platform, and use that in order to communicate everything else that you want. You have to write these articles the right way. You have to communicate it the right way. Your website has to be positioned the right way, and it's all got to be tied together. Everything has to be tied together. And bottom line is AI needs to know that it can trust you as a source. And when it trusts you as a source, then it's going to share you as a solution.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, we're getting towards the end here. Is anything else you'd like to add, before we close out here?
No, I really enjoyed it, man. It's a topic that's very important. The only thing that I will add at the end here is we are going to be dropping our outdoor living list in July. We're very excited about it. This is our inaugural outdoor living list. So it's going to be it's highly anticipated. It's going to be exciting. We're going to be opening it up. So if by chance somebody in your world that you know or that you're watching it, that you're on it, we can obviously then come out. We want to interview you. We want to get to know you. We want to get to know your team. So we're very excited about that. I'm sure you'll share that list when it
Yeah,
drops
can think of a
with
lot.
your team, and then we can kind of continue the conversations around trying to help every single contractor be the best company that is possible. Because again, our mission is not to help people win every deal. Our mission is to help every homeowner find the right contractor for them, so they don't have to pay for the job twice. So we want to work and we want to share the information from the best of the best down to the small businesses because we know that the impact on this country is through small business. And that's why we support the independently owned and operated privately held companies the way that we do.
Gotcha. That's exciting. I can think of a lot of people that could make that list. So I'll definitely share it, and can definitely I can think of some great people that might want to interview for that. But yeah, anyways, Greg, I appreciate you coming on here sharing this. This was fun to talk about. I mean, it's very unique perspective that you come from, basically the experience you've had with yourself and the company that you had, but also the tons of interviews you've done, the kind of similarities you see when you interview them or see them at events, things like that. So I know that everybody listening to this got a lot of value from it, enjoyed the episode, and check out Power 100, and I guess follow along for when that list gets released in July, and we can make some kind of announcement or something too. But yeah, anyways, appreciate you coming on and going forward with the podcast. Got a lot of good new content coming out, some webinars we've recorded, some new things that we've been going through, and actually, of course, AI related. So some more in-depth podcasts related to that will be coming out there. And if you did enjoy this episode, the podcast, review, subscribe, all of that helps. And we're in at the time of recording, which won't be when it's released, but in kind of beginning of June. We well into the busy season for contractors. So if you have any questions about maybe things aren't going the way that you wanted, feel free to reach out to our website, deckfencemarketers.com, and reach out to us, and we'll create a whole custom growth plan for you, and based on what your goals are. So that's it. Thanks again, Greg, for coming on here, and I know we'll be talking soon.
Absolutely, brother. Love what you're doing. Keep it
All right.
up.
Thanks, man. See ya.